Hello, Mark and Michelle. Michael, sorry, I read that wrong. How are you both doing tonight? You can speak if you'd like. If we get 100 people, I might ask you to mute, but there's only a couple of you here now. If you want to show your face, you can too, but there's no need to if you don't want to.
Hello.
Hi there. Is that Michael?
Yes, and I have no video on my Zoom, unfortunately.
Oh, that's okay. No worries. No worries. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. So it's still a couple of minutes to go before we actually start. So I just decided to get in a little bit early. I'm hoping people can still make it tonight. Did you try and come last night, Michael?
No.
Oh, that was good then. That's good. I felt really guilty about that.
I had another Zoom.
You had another Zoom on last night.
Victoria volunteer firefighters action plan.
Wow. How's that going?
Well, I've got more protests going, but it's more for firefighters, not for me. I'm just a farmer.
Don't say just a farmer. My husband's a farmer too. So yeah, without farmers, we'd be pretty well screwed. So good on you. Yeah, I knew that there was an action down there for firemen. There's one for paramedics also, and I haven't heard any updates on either of those for a long time. So I'm hoping that it's good news. I'm hoping, fingers crossed. Hi, Pauline. Hi, Sandy. I've had people I've had people admitted automatically because I just don't want to be interrupted while I'm doing the Zoom because I'm just me. So if people come on and I need to let them in, it's kind of distracting. So I'd rather just have people come in straight away. So how you doing, Sandy? I haven't seen you for ages. Oh, you're muted, I think. I can't hear you.
Yes, how's that?
There you go. That's good.
Well, hasn't it? But lovely to see you, and you're looking fabulous.
Oh, yeah, right. Thank you. I'm sitting here on the beach, you know.
I'm sitting in bed, but that's beautiful there.
Well, I'm at my kitchen table and I don't have much of a backdrop. So as long as I'm using Zoom, I decided to use one of theirs. And
Yes.
yeah, I feel like I could use a little bit of warmth right now. So that
It is
too
a little
will
bit
do it.
chilly. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we're just going to give it a few more minutes to see who else shows up. I don't want to start before people get here. So we'll just give it a minute. Yeah. Hey, Mark, where are you joining us from? You can unmute yourself if you'd like.
Me again?
No, Mark,
Melbourne.
sorry, Mark. I know you're in Victoria, Michael. Oh, you may not have a microphone. There is a chat button. If anybody wants to use the chat, you're welcome to type in there if you can't speak. And hi, Pauline. You're looking very orange right now. So did you try and come last night? Yeah, you did, Sandy, right? You're the one who wrote to me. So yeah, terrible. Still, my account's still not working.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. And I was still what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? So that's why I sent you a message. Yeah, I just blame myself.
No, it wasn't you, it was me.
Frustrating for you.
Whoever thought that just trying to change your email address would cause all of this?
No.
And I was on today for about 2 hours this morning, literally 2 hours, trying to get it to work, and I just gave up. So I can't start live streams. I can post, but I can't start live streams. And there's one other thing that I just tried to do and I couldn't do it. Oh, share to notes. I can't share anything to notes anymore. It tells me that I'm not connected to notes. So it's insane.
Yep.
Anyway. Pauline, are you on a phone or on a computer? You should have, whether you're on a phone or a computer, you should have a little icon somewhere that looks like a video camera. I think your video is running, but you may have the camera covered up with something. But yeah, you have an audio and a video button. There you go. You got it. Hi. Nice to see you. And if you want to unmute, you can. That's no problem. This tonight is going to be a bit of a give and take. So you're welcome to chime in. Like I said, if we get to 100 people, I'll probably ask everybody to mute, but I don't think that's going to happen. So you're welcome to speak. So Dave Smith, not the libertarian Dave Smith from the United States who has a program on podcast, is it? I'm sure it's not. Dave Smith is not the most uncommon name. But if you want to unmute Dave, you can let us know where you're coming from, where you're coming in from. Sorry. So hi Thea, how you going? And iPhone. And ZZ, I was looking for Top to be after that, but it doesn't look like that's the case. One of my favorite groups from the 70s and 80s. All right, so it's 8:04. I might get started now, and anyone who joins will just join, and they'll have to catch up. So thank you all so much for coming tonight. I really appreciate it. And I'm sorry if I stuffed any of you around last night with the problems with my Substack account. I'm still having issues, so I'm hoping to get that settled before my next live stream, which is supposed to be on July 9th. What I'm going to do is start a calendar page on the Substack, and as I book people in for interviews or as I set up a stream for myself, then I will put that on the calendar page so that people can see what's coming up, and it'll be a little bit more organized, which is absolutely not in my DNA, but I'm going to try really hard to be organized for this. So I plan on doing quite a few interviews, just like I did on Under the Wire. And my next interview is with Adam Gibson from Parents with Questions. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of Adam, but he's been a real warrior for the last 5 years. And he raised a lot of funds for the AVN's court case, and he's been raising court cases himself and driving himself absolutely crazy because Australia's court system, as you probably know, is completely broken. And it seems like there is no way to get justice through the courts right now. And that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to do this tonight. Once again, I should have gotten myself a drink before I started. But yeah, the fact is that the social contract is completely broken, and it's intentionally broken. We have a government that is not accountable to the people. We have a justice system that does not mete out justice. Yeah, thanks, Sandy. I might do that in a minute if I keep having to clear my throat. I'm in the kitchen anyway, so it'll just take me a second to get a drink. But yeah, we've got a justice system where you can't get any justice. All the authorities in this country, Armadale. Oh, Gwen, fantastic. It must be freezing there. So yeah, and all of the checks and balances that we're supposed to have in Australia are completely gone. We have no real government. We have, I mean, anybody who thinks that Anthony Albanese is actually running this country needs to get their head read, because he's absolutely not. He's not making the decisions. Penny Wong's not making the decisions, and Susan, whatever it is, Lay, is not making the decisions. We don't have leaders. We don't have people running government. So one thing that's become very clear to me, and probably to most of you as well, over the last 5 years, is that if we want to change things, we have to do it ourselves. I, for a long time, I was one of those people who was like, okay, things are going to change in the US and they're going to come and save us. You know what? Nobody's saving us. We need to save ourselves. And it's not comfortable, and it's not something that a lot of people really want to get involved with, but it's something that we have to do, because quite honestly, I really do believe that our government and our parliament and our medical community And I'm not talking about the doctors who are on the street who are working out of clinics. Most of them know that the vaccines and drugs they're giving out are not helping, but they don't really know, I don't think, that they're killing people as much as they are. But the government does. And the corporations that actually tell the government what to do, they know that they're killing people. And I personally believe that that sort of murder is actually intentional. You may think I'm a conspiracy theorist. Hey, you wouldn't be the first one who said that. But, you know, right now what I see is for the last 5 years, it's conspiracy theorists 100% right. And the ones who call us conspiracy theorists are wrong every single time. So I think that the conspiracies are real and we need to accept it. They're not conspiracy theories, they are conspiracies. So what do we do? And I'm hoping to get some input from everybody who's here tonight because quite honestly, I have ideas, but I certainly don't have the answers. And I think that what it's going to take is all of us sort of working together and trying to find ways that we can actually make a difference, make a change. Because we can't keep going the way we're going. The government has every intention. You know, I think you've heard about the tax they're going to put on super. They're saying it's only going to be on super that's like $3 million, but that's this week. You know, next week it's going to be on everyone. They're going to tax unrealized gains. So you haven't made any money, but you're going to be taxed on it. And as a farmer's wife, I can tell you very much, we've got no money, but we have land. And when that happens, they're probably going to be taking our land away from us. And I think that's part of the reason they're doing it. So we have children, probably most of you have children too. And if not for ourselves, then for our children and our grandchildren, we need to be taking action and getting things done. So I want to go through, I don't know if everybody here has seen the post that I put up a few days ago where I gave some ideas about how to get involved. And these are just ideas. There are many other things. For instance, I really think that it's important for people to run for their local government, for their councils. Alona Lon, how many of you know Alona? Raise your hand if you know. Yeah, good. Thank you, Thea. Alona Lon, she's up on the Sunshine Coast. Well, she was on the Sunshine Coast. She's now around Gympie. And she ran for the Gympie Council and she got in, and she is making huge waves there. And that's the thing. We can actually make a big difference if we run for office and we get in. Now, I'm not talking about federal parliament. It would be great if anybody wanted to run for federal parliament. I know that Gerard Rennick is looking for people to get involved with his party, which is it People First? People, I can't remember. Is it People First? Yeah. So he's looking for people to get involved in his party, and he's brilliant. So, you know, if you want to contact Gerard Rennick, I have not put his contact details down, but I can certainly add them to the page. So contact him and say, if you don't want to run for office, say, Gerard, I know that you are looking for people all across Australia to get involved. I don't know what I can offer, but I'm willing to help out. I have X number of hours a week. I have a car. Let me know what I can do. And these are the sorts of things that anybody can do. Anybody can get involved in this. Any other politicians? I mean, Malcolm Roberts. I'm not a big fan of Pauline Hanson right now. I'm not a big fan of One Nation right now because of her. I think she's been a bit of a toxic influence on the party. But Malcolm Roberts is incredible and wonderful. And anybody who's in the Brisbane area, if you want to put your hand up to help him, that would be fantastic. And I think they have 4 people in the Senate. Is that possible? Yeah, One Nation. Yeah, they've got 4 senators. Now, I can tell you that in 1998, when I went to Parliament with Lynn Grimsey at the time, and we got the conscientious objector clause passed. The only reason that we got that passed is because the independents and the minor parties held a balance of power in the Senate. So the fact that there are 4 independents from there, and I think there's UAP still, there's other people in the Senate. The fact that we have so many independents in the Senate, or non-major party people in the Senate, means that we might actually be able to get something done. So we need to actually be putting our hands up and saying, I want to help. What can I do? And this is something that people don't like it because it takes them out of their comfort zone. But I got to tell you, being locked down is not comfortable. Having the government introduce central bank digital currency and not letting you, get any of the money out of your account, that's pretty uncomfortable. Having them come and tell you that you have to take a jab or you have to give it to your kids, that's not comfortable either. So sometimes we need to push through and get out of our comfort zone and actually do something. And I've got to tell you, as someone who's been an activist for 32 years now, the feeling of satisfaction and I don't even know how to describe not just satisfaction, but the feeling of basically just feeling good about yourself is so worth the stress that might be caused by doing something that you're not used to or not comfortable with. Now, if anybody has any questions, please just unmute yourself and ask. I want this to be a conversation, so go for it. I'm just kind of rabbiting on a bit. And aside from running for election, I think that there are many other things that we can do on a local level. I don't know because I don't listen to the radio and I don't even have TV. I haven't had TV in years, but there are probably still talk radio programs. If you hear something about vaccination or hear something about global warming or any of these issues that the government is turning into a hot button cause to stop us from, freedom of speech, to stop us from doing what we want to do, call in and say, I have something I'd like to say about that, because it does make a difference. It really does make a difference when people, not only to the station, when they hear that their listeners have an opinion about something, but on, 2UE or one of the big stations. If you call in, there could be millions of people who are going to hear what you say. And it's not as scary as it sounds. Once you do it, you can find that it's pretty easy to do. So I think those are also things that are really important to do. So I'm going to share my screen now. And this is something I can't do on Substack. One participant, advanced sharing options, share. Let's see if I can get it working. Hang on one sec. Share. Okay, so can everybody see my screen? Okay, great. I just want to go over the links that I put in that post that was on Substack a few days ago. Now, I can't see everyone right now, so if you have something that you want to say, please just unmute yourself and say it, because I can only see 3 people. The first organization that I wanted to give a shout out to, and I know it's very surprising to all of you, is the Australian Vaccination Risks Network, or the Australian Vaccination Network, as I prefer to call it. I hope that most of you have heard of the AVN. It's been around for a long time, and they are all volunteers. And the bus is going back out on the road on the 1st of August. So they're going down to Sydney for that first tour, and then they're going to WA, which is going to be an amazing trip because they have to drive all the way across the Nullarbor. So yeah, I know. Right now the bus is getting serviced and a few things fixed. It's an old bus, but it's in pretty good condition. And they want to make sure that it's working completely before they take it on the road. But one of the things that happens when the bus goes out on the road is that the AVN will publish a list of places where the bus will be. They never publish exactly where it's going to be because that invites trolls, but they might say that it's going to be in the eastern suburbs, or they'll say that it's in the Sutherland Shire. If you are in that area, put your hand up and contact the AVN and say, I'd like to help out. They need people to come and help basically they might have 50 people coming to tell their stories. So they'll need someone to be outside of the bus and tell people who are coming, they've got a schedule when they're going to be interviewed, that sort of thing. I don't think they're going to be selling on the bus because they just don't have enough people to actually do that, which is a shame because it's certainly one of the ways that the AVN makes money. But they definitely need people to come and help. They need people to put flyers out. They need people to contact people in their area. Let's say you're in Australian Breastfeeding Association, or I'm losing my words. What's the name of that group that, oh, bugger, I can't remember. There's a group that started during COVID and they're all over Australia. So if you're in a group that basically is involved with these issues, they would love it if you would get in touch with that group and say, hey, the bus is coming down. What can we do to help publicize this? All of those things are really important. And if you just have an hour or two a week, you can contact the AVN and say, I can help you with the tour. Tell me what I can do. Because they're not going to be able to contact you. You have to contact them. So I think that it's something that we can really all get together and do. It's not that hard. It really isn't. I'm just going to move this down a little bit so I can see the toolbar there. There we go. So it really isn't that hard. Darn, this thing is covering up the toolbar. Let me see what I can do. So contact the AVN, and if you want to make a note, it's avn.org.au, and there is a contact form on the website. There's no phone number, but there is a contact form on the website, so you can just click on Contact Us, and you can get in touch with them and see what you can do to help, because they're volunteers, they're tired, and they could really use a bit of help. The next organization is Forest of the Fallen. Oh, is that going to play? I hope it's not going to play music. So the Forest of the Fallen, I have been involved with since we were down in Tasmania. Might have even been Victoria. I know that we had Forest of the Fallen displays at the bus quite often. And for those of you who haven't seen it, it is incredibly powerful. You can see these placards. Every single one of those placards is a story of someone who either died or was seriously injured by the COVID jab. And I think Forest of the Fallen is only involved with reactions to the COVID jab. So I think they've got several thousand right now. The government says there have only been 14 deaths, but the government's lying. And there have been thousands of deaths. There's one right in front of you, Caitlin. She passed away. She was 23 years old, and she passed away after her second dose of the COVID jab. So you put these placards up, and people walk by, and even if they have never heard of any problem with vaccines, they're sort of forced to stop and read, and they start reading, and you can see them. They go through the forest and they read the signs, and sometimes they stand there and start crying. It is one of the best ways to wake people up, especially the ones who are sleeping, because they have no idea these people exist. They have no idea that there have been that many people whose lives have been destroyed by these jabs. And again, this is just the COVID jab. This is not all the other jabs. So if you want to get involved, they have a membership. It says join us. They also have merchandise on their website. I've been involved in photocopying and laminating the signs and sticking them onto the sticks, all of those things. They need help with things like that. And they are across Australia. They are everywhere in every state and territory. So if you contact them and say, I live in blah, 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 what can I do to help? They'll let you know. And it's only because of the volunteers that they're able to do this. See this woman there, she's just reading. And this is what we found with the displays we had at the Vaxxed bus. Even people who hadn't come to the bus, people who had no idea what the bus was all about, they would stop and read these placards. It is a really important initiative. And it started in Australia. And I believe that it's now going global, that they have this in the United States and across Europe as well. So it's obviously a very good idea. And they need help to get the word out a lot more. So forestofthefallen.com, theforestofthefallen.com is the web address. But again, this information is on the the Substack that I put up a few days ago. Guys, can you excuse me for 1 minute? I'm just going to get a quick drink of water, okay? I'll be right back. Just talk amongst yourselves. Okay, that's better. I think it's because it's winter and I'm just so dry. I wake up in the middle of the night and my tongue is stuck to the roof of my mouth. It's just crazy. So, especially when it's so damp and humid here all the rest of the year. So let me just see. Okay, now this is one that I had never heard of before. It's called Nourish Street, and someone on the AVN committee told me about this. They help people without homes in Brisbane's north side, so it's pretty specific. It's just Brisbane's north side, but you can give donations, and you can, if you're in that area, you can contact them and say, what can I do to volunteer? And there are so many organizations like this across Australia. There's a woman I follow, she's the best chef ever. I get so many recipes from her website. It's called Recipe Tin Eats. And she has a food bank that she started at the beginning of COVID. And I think they're making 1,000 meals a day in Sydney and distributing them. And I think it's called Recipe Tin Meals or Recipe Tin Gives. But I mean, if you know of other organizations that do this, I haven't taken the time to look them up. But like I said, I'm going to be setting up a page on the website for this as well as for future Substack live streams. So if you know another organization, please share it with me. You can either send it to me by email, which is admin@myinformedchoice. Or is it Meryl? No, it's admin at, you know what? I can't remember. I think it's Meryl at myinformedchoice.com.au, or you can just write to me at Substack. I can get that information up. And I really want the Substack to become a resource where people can go, not only to give help, but to find out if they can get help too. So let's make this a real community effort. I know that it's kind of difficult when it's all on the internet, but I mean, look at Facebook, look at Twitter, X. People really get involved in communities there. And I think that Substack can be the same sort of thing, only better, because as of now, there's still no censorship on Substack, and hopefully it'll stay that way. Nourish Street is a place where people can, and there's a phone number there and an email address, but people can volunteer. I'm not exactly sure what they need volunteers to do, but you can contact them and ask what you can do. So I think that would be really good. Okay, next is the People's Revolution. This is Tristan Van Rij. I hope most of you know Tricky. He started out, he was the very first person that we interviewed on the Vaxxed bus when Polytommy came out with Dr. Brian Hooker and Suzanne Humphreys. And he and his wife, they were the first ones to be interviewed, and they had a son they still have a son who is autistic, and he was nonverbal at that time, but he's come along by leaps and bounds. And Tricky is a very special guy because he's one of these people who, he's not going to sit there and say, let someone else do it. He is an organizer. He gets people offside because he's so passionate about this, but he is someone who really gets things done, but they need help at the People's Revolution. He asked me to please publicize this and say, can you ask people to contact us? And I mean, he's putting on events the 4th and the 5th and the 6th of July with this guy, David McBride. It's not just vaccination. He's involved with a lot of different issues. And child sex trafficking was a big one that he was doing. He was one of the ones that publicized that libraries on the Gold Coast were having, what do they call them, drag queen story hours. And there was one, it was very disturbing. It was an art display, art display. It was actually pornographic art, and schools were going there as school trips. And, our children, our grandchildren are being groomed. And we need to stop this too. These are issues that have been around for a long time, but we've only become aware of them fairly recently. I've only become aware of them fairly recently. At the beginning of COVID, that's when I started really looking into it. And it's shocking and depressing. And Tricky's doing a lot to help alleviate these problems. So again, thepeoplesrevolution.com.au. If you go there, you can volunteer, you can join, you can buy merchandise. Even if you don't live in the area, you can do what you can to support them because they're doing an awful lot of good. And Tricky is the one who's organized all of those protests during COVID in Brisbane. And some of them had an amazing amount of people. And this is the thing. How many of you, do you know how to raise your hands on this? There should be a little thing that I think says reactions. I'd love to see a show of hands to see how many of you actually, oh, Rock, I didn't see you were here. Welcome. How many of you actually went to Canberra? Is it almost 3 years ago? Yes, Sandy. Did we see each other there? I think we did. Yeah. So, we had, don't believe anything the media says because they lie through their teeth, but we had over 1 million people there. And it was during lockdown, and we had people from Tasmania and Western Australia. People came from all over the country. It was the most amazing event I have ever been involved in. And what they say is for every one person who goes to a rally, there's at least 5 others who can't make it. So, in a country of 26 million people, we had representation for about 5 million people. But it didn't really change anything, did it? It didn't. It's one of those things that I've always hated petitions. I thought petitions really don't make a difference. It makes people feel good, like they're doing something, but it didn't really make a difference when you sign a petition, no matter how many signatures you get. The government ignores it. I've seen this with, there was a petition that was done about 2 years ago, and they needed to get 100,000 signatures in a certain amount of time. And I think they got well over 400,000. And the government ignored it. There was supposed to be like an inquiry if they got a certain number of signatures, and that inquiry never took place. And nothing was publicized, nothing happened. And at the same time, there was a petition from, I don't know if it was Friends in Science and Medicine or the Australian Skeptics, one of those anti-choice groups. And I think they got several hundred signatures, and it was publicized up the wazoo from the government. And they said that they were going to have some kind of inquiry. I can't remember what it was about, but the petitions, if we had a government and a system that actually was fair and balanced, then yes, petitions would be great, but we don't. We've got a system that's corrupt and doesn't care about the people. So we have to think outside the box. We have to put our energies where they're actually going to make a big difference. And I personally don't believe that at this point in time, rallies or petitions are doing anybody any good. I think there are better ways to get our message across. So, excuse me. So Tricky particularly asked me to stress that he would like people to come along to these events on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of July. The information is on the website. And even if you can't come, to help share this on social media, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you are, Instagram, Pinterest, I don't know, wherever you are, to be able to share this. So, and that's something that we can all do, is to share information, because there are so many people who are still sound asleep. The government's talking about this razor throat rubbish. And I know people who are getting tested because they're afraid they're going to get it. And I'm like, after 5 years of these lies and this bullshit, excuse the expression, you are retarded. I'm sorry. You are just too stupid to live. If you are still afraid at this point in time, it's like, you really and truly are not paying attention to anything that's going on around you. And that's the thing. They're not retarded. Most of these people are really smart, but they are so brainwashed. They are so unable to see because they've just got these blinkers on, and they're in a state of constant fear. So you can't think properly when you're in a state of fear. So sharing information may not make a difference, but it may, and it doesn't cost us anything. So, share the information as widely as you can when you can. Okay. And the last one that I've got here is parents with questions. And as I said, that's Adam Gibson. Now, Adam has, and I haven't watched it yet. I said I was going to watch it today, but I didn't have time to. There's a link on the page where I put the information about these organizations, and it's an interview with a psychiatrist who helped Adam write these letters to you can send letters to doctors and letters to government officials, I think it was. And so it might even be on this page. So Adam has asked if everyone can please take a minute, download the letters, that's Adam, download the letters and send them off, because it can make a big difference if we have people actually sending this information. One or two letters is not going to make a difference, but if they get hundreds or thousands of letters, they're going to realize that this is a movement and that people are actually involved in this. And that's the thing. We have to stop being afraid, because as I said, there's a hell of a lot more things to be afraid of than just having your name out there as someone who cares about your family and about your community. So download those letters, print them out, and send them off. It'll take you all of 10 minutes to do it, but everybody needs to do it, and share it with other people that you know on any venue that you can. And if you're involved in a group, please share it with the group and ask them all to please take 10 minutes and do this. $1, is a stamp $1 now? Because he said it's only going to cost you a couple of dollars. I haven't sent a snail mail for so long. I don't even know how much it costs, but that's outrageous if it's true. So print out those letters and send them off. And as I said, I'm going to be interviewing Adam on July 9th, which is a Wednesday night at 8 p.m. It may be on Zoom or it may be on Substack if my Substack is working by then. But, he's someone who, some people have a talent for organizing, for networking, and for getting things done. I've never had a talent for any of those things. So he's my hero. He is someone who can talk to anybody, and he does. He talks to people in all walks of life, and he gets information that you wouldn't think anybody would get. And he's been through the ringer over these last 5 years, but he hasn't given up. And that's really important. So I think he's going to have a lot to offer when we sit down and talk together about these issues. And I especially told him that I really wanted to find a way to motivate people to get involved, because we have so many people who in their hearts want to do something good. They really want to make changes, but they don't know how to. And I don't know how to either. I'll be honest with you. I can tell you all these different things, all these actions you can take, all these steps you can take, but that may not be what you want to do. And it may not be what you're best suited for either. So I think there needs to be a range of ideas. And I really think that just one person trying to share their ideas is not enough. I'm just trying, $1.50 a stamp, rock. I had no idea. When I first came to Australia, this was 37 years ago, I think a stamp was 35 cents. Far out, $1.50 for mail. Wow. Okay, so $3. All right, 2 letters, $3. You can afford it. So, wow, that's, my mind is blown. That's absolutely crazy. So I'm just trying to see, how is the funding for the bus trip, Sandy asked. the bus trip doesn't need funding at this point in time, so they're fine with that. They're fine with funding, but what they do need is people to help, to put their hands up. And as I said, that first tour is going to be in Sydney, and I think it's only a week. They're just basically, there's a new person going on the bus to do the interviews, and so it's going to be like a training. Anita's going to be on the bus. She's brilliant. So it's going to be just a 1 week tour, but if you find out that it's going to be in an area that's close to you, please put your hand up and volunteer to help. That would be fantastic. So what's my place?
Meryl, I thought that was that's the little groups that have been popping up around Australia.
My place. It might be, yes. That
Yes.
might be it.
Place. And certainly Southeast Queensland here, we have quite a few. And they meet now monthly with, we've had Alex Antic come to talk once and
Fantastic.
things like that. Really good groups to be part of.
That's great. And if you can share these letters with that group and ask everyone to send it out, that would be fantastic. And that's the whole thing. We are all in touch with so many people. So to be able to talk about this with them would be great. That would be really good. I'm just reading through the comments now. I was living in CBR at the time. What's CBR? iPhone. Sorry?
Canberra, I think it is.
Oh, Canberra. Okay, thank you. At the time, I don't need to tell you what the majority of Canberrans thought about it. You mean Karens? They were brutal in their disapproval. I've got to tell you, I saw more masks with that week that I was in Canberra than I think I've ever seen in my life, even in the US, which was pretty bad. I could not believe how terrified people were there. It's a different place, Canberra. It really is. So the one thing that all fair-minded Australians can get behind is the demand for the release of our national cabinet documents, unredacted. The decisions made within that fake, unconstitutional cabinet that continues to this day has affected all Australians, jabbed or not. Fact, cheaper than a royal commission and probably less corrupt than a royal commission too. The thing is, how do we get that information, Rock? We filed a Freedom of Information request. This was when Scummo was the prime minister. He met with Bill Gates just before mandate started. And we wanted the notes from that meeting. We wanted to know what they talked about and what they decided, because I'm sure that Bill Gates, Buddy Bill, was giving him information on you. We got to mandate this. You got to get everyone vaccinated, because we only had a 17% vaccination rate at the time. And we were told that it was commercial in confidence. Now, how can something that a prime minister does as part of his position, I could understand if it's like military, but this was not military. This was a discussion he had with Bill Gates. And if it was commercial in confidence, then how much money did Bill Gates make out of Australia? That's what we need to know. So, Rock, maybe this is something that you can work on, is try to figure out, and I'm sure there are plenty of people working on this, but try to figure out how we can get those cabinet documents to find out what was done on our behalf. And that's the thing. None of us would have approved any of this stuff they're doing. And they're supposed to be representing us. They're public servants, but they're not actually serving the public. They're serving the corporate interests and the military and all these other people. So, that's one of those things. Canberra was 97% jabbed. I'm not surprised, but parliamentarians were exempt. And their staff was exempt. So anyone who worked in federal parliament was exempt from the jab. How does that make sense? Just like the Karen's rule on facial recognition for access to the internet that's supposed to start in January. They're exempt. Parliament is exempt from that. So, yeah. I don't believe the numbers that the government puts out, but yes, I agree. Canberra people took the jab and really didn't need to. True believers, it's like your belief will kill you if you don't actually try to figure out why you believe it. Stand in the park. Yes, that's another one, Thea. Is that still around? They were doing great things and they helped the bus.
Mm.
That's another organization. Do you know, are they just on, not Telegram? What's the other one? It is Telegram. Are they just on Telegram, Stand in the Park?
Oh, I don't know whether they are or not, but I do know that there's a group still meeting in Ballina.
Oh, okay.
I think it's it might, I don't think it's every Sunday, but it's, maybe it is. I've haven't been around, but I'm back now, so
Right.
that's just something I'm going to look into to see what groups are sort of in the area, and also in terms of council, you know, like with Ballina Council, I do know some of the councillors, but they're very green, and it's really tricky because they just don't get the whole vaccination, you know, the COVID thing at all. So, but I'm still having dialogue with some, um, and um, and maybe I need to get involved. You know, as you said, I don't know. I'm still working at the moment, and I'm talking. It's tricky because I'm talking now with my clients. I'm a remedial massage therapist, and I at the beginning of COVID, I put up a sign. Uh, well, it was actually a picture of two women. I got it off the net, marching in a small rally. It looked like a country town, holding hands. You only saw the backs of them with a placard on their backs. I am jab, you know, like I've taken the shot and it's my choice. I'm unvaccinated and it's my choice.
Right.
And holding hands. And so I more or less said to my clients that I was not going to discriminate. And and that was the basis, that was the start of it. And then now I'm just saying, look, I'm sorry, but I can't, due to my health, I cannot massage you if you have had a COVID jab within 6 months.
Right.
And that, of course, I'm surprised how many people don't want to know why. I
They
wonder
don't
why they
ask you.
don't want to know why.
Wow.
But it's also, I have lost business through that, and unfortunately, most of my oldies, because every 6 months their doctor tells them to get another jab. They're up to 8 now.
Oh, how do
So
they still live?
exactly, and but I have still maintained um, conversations where we agree to disagree,
Right.
and at the moment. Um, those people are now finding that their family are dying from turbo cancers. Had a conversation today, but it's still not really getting through its old age. It's at 79 or at 69. So I would really like to be involved in. I feel I'm not sure how, you know, I mean, you can't give them facts. You can't give people facts. I think I need more skills on how to just talk one-to-one with people even. It's a tricky one.
It is a tricky one, and you just gave me an idea. I think it would be really good if I could find someone who actually is a specialist in communications. What do they call it? Non-confrontational communication or something, because I'm a pretty confrontational person. So I'm the last person you should take advice from about how to communicate. But I think that's
Yeah.
a really good idea, Thea. I'd like to find someone to come onto the show and to teach that, you know, maybe over a series of nights to teach how to communicate, because that's really, really important. There was a
Yeah.
guy on the Gold Coast, Peter's son, and he was amazing. When we had the AVN way back at the beginning in the 1990s, he came out and gave us all lessons on how to communicate. I'm not sure where he is now, but he was pretty good. I'll find someone. If anybody has a recommendation, let me know too.
But it's keeping everything friendly. And look, and one of my clients who's now a friend, she's a pharmacist. She only got 2 jabs. She asked my advice about getting a third when she went overseas, and she didn't. So, but it's really, and then I have sent her some stuff regarding the gene therapy. But then she straight away on Messenger sort of sent back what the government's status was on it, and that was fine. But it still is communicating, but it's so slow. Yeah.
That's it. Well, Thea, I'm glad you,
Got
I'm
to keep
glad
the
you want to
dialogue
get
going though, and I've certainly I've certainly toned it down, and then and for instance, even my son, who is not COVID jabbed, his wife, who is not COVID jabbed, they've just had a preemie baby, and I had put her onto the I think it's informed choice, the lot of vaccination, just childhood vaccination. She was looking at that, and so she's questioning about that. And my son, amazingly, he's accusing me of 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 influencing her, because childhood vaccinations, I had them, I'm okay, and I happened to let him know that, well, I think it's one in, it's sort of in terms of the autism, and he looked it up thinking I was lying, but he's still, I can't believe it. He won't get the COVID jab, but
childhood vaccines.
Childhood vaccinations. So, and I've got on my coffee table, I've got the big book, the new one about the history of vaccinations. It's sort of, but I don't know.
Oh,
it's tricky.
Yeah,
So,
illusions, dissolving illusions.
It's the ultimate vaccine timeline that I got.
I don't know that. I've never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's I thought it's also good for people who don't really want to read, and they can sort of look at diagrams. And,
well, Thea, you're in my area, so if your son and his wife want to speak with me, I'm happy to do that.
Oh, great!
Yeah, just contact me through Substack, and
sure.
I'm happy to make an appointment to meet with them.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries at all.
Appreciate that.
No problem at all. I'm just looking at what iPhone, I don't know who iPhone said, but CBR equals Canberra, and Canberrans equals Canberrans. I didn't know that. Heaps still wearing masks and triple boosted. There's a stand in the park in Wagga and Narendera. I don't know how you say that, Narendera. You know what? I would love, and I'll put something on the Substack about this too. I would love for people to tell me what areas Stand in the Park is and what areas, what was the name of that group again, Sandy? It's gone right out of my head.
MySpace, I think.
MySpace, yeah. What areas? My place.
My place.
Okay, so I'm going to put a call out to ask people to let me know, and I'll get that page up with different groups. And I'll also ask if there are other groups that are local. I know when we were going around on the bus, there were other groups than that. So it would be really good for people to be able to use that as a resource. Rock said the way to go is to galvanize all the fair dinkum freedom fighters and get the message to their supporters to say enough is enough. There are documents, not theirs. And the Minister for Everything, Morrison, was ordered by Justice Richard White to release these documents. And that's the thing. There was no respect for the courts at all. No request to the right honorable, you know what, but a mass demand. All of these decisions are in those documents, and we will reveal who was in on it from the get-go. Again, Rock, if you can think of a way that we can help working together to do that, I think that it would be really good. So feel free to write to me and to let me know what your ideas are, because like I said, we need to have a conversation. We need to share information. Sonia said that is such a good idea, Meryl, non-confrontational communication. Yeah, I am going to try and find someone. And if anybody has any ideas about who would be really good to lead something like this, please share it with me. Thea, I don't know if you saw that Sandy wrote something. Have you come across the documentary Witness Statement? A good start to send your friends. Absolutely.
Yes, I have. I have sent stuff on, and I haven't had any responses, which is interesting. So, and I don't follow up. I sort of I want to, because I still really don't know. You know what I mean? So and then of course that I was so excited about that. In fact, I'm living in in a holiday park, which is a community. There's a community hall. When I saw a witness statement, I actually wanted to put it on at the community hall. That's how strongly I felt. But
Do it. I think it's a great idea.
But I have got to, I've got to get it past management, and I've got to get enough people together. And I've only been here a year, and I probably know about 8 people. But
there's a woman.
So these are things I want to do, but it's just so. But I had there's fear there, and yeah. But
well,
I know
I can help you publicize it. And there's a woman in Ballina named Leah who knows everyone in the area, and I can put you two in touch, and she can help you too.
Oh, great.
So, I think that it could really be successful. And they release witness statements.
And discussion happening within the within the park community.
Yeah.
So, and it may only be. There's yoga has now just started, and 8 people turned up. But you see, so something like that, or maybe just gate crash happy hour on a Thursday and see what happens.
Well, you might be surprised. You might be surprised if you advertise it and say, it's free, because they're not charging anything for it.
No, that's right. Yeah.
I think that you might get a lot of people there. And even if you charge a small amount, if the hall, charges you just to cover.
No. For the residents, everything's free. So, and a full kitchen, so I can offer them a cup of tea and some biscuits as well.
Yeah. What do you have to lose? Just do it. And you might meet your community. You'll meet your tribe there, and you'll maybe start something wonderful. So I think if you want to contact me and say, I'd like some help, I'm happy to give a hand.
Well, just even for me to present it, just to sort of how to go about that.
To organize it, to organize.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Thank you.
No worries. Okay, Rock said the best part of Canberra is the road out. You love the place, Rock. I get it. Do we know when the shedding stops? Does it stop after 6 months? Sonia asked. No, we don't know.
We don't know. I just had to.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I did about 9 months ago. Just what I could find at the time, they had only really done it up to 6 months, but I know that it can be longer. Some people may not really shed at all. So that was just an arbitrary figure I made.
Well, we don't really know what shedding is, and I personally don't believe that there is such a thing as a transmissible virus. That's just my personal opinion.
No, it's actually
something that's being shared. And if you do believe in viruses, there have been studies done that said that 2 to 3 years after you get the jab, there is still spike protein circulating in your blood. So they don't know. They have no idea. They push this garbage into people, and they have no idea. Thanks, Rock. I'm looking forward to it. So what I'd like to ask, because we're almost coming up to an hour here, does anyone have any ideas that they would like to share about things that are important, you feel that are important to do, that we can do, that we can be involved in? Because, as I said, I think people really have a need to do something positive, but we don't know what to do. And I'm including myself in that. So if anybody has any ideas, please unmute and let me know, or raise your hand or use the chat if you don't have a microphone. Because I think that we can do so much good if we just put our minds to what it is we can accomplish. And we can accomplish a lot. We just need to know where to start. So if anybody has any ideas, please let me know. Don't be shy. So I'm thinking that probably I'm putting everyone on the spot too much. So what I'd like to ask is, I'm going to very quickly check my email because I can't remember if it's Merrill or admin. My informed choice. Hang on one sec. Let me just, I don't know if you can see that screen. I don't, can you see my email there? Because I don't want you to. Good. Okay. You'll see all my knitting emails, and I don't want you to see that. I'm just looking it up. You'd think I would remember it, but I don't send emails to myself very often. Okay, it's admin, ADMIN. I can put it in the chat. And you can copy and paste it on your computer. So that's my email address. So if anybody has any ideas, any thoughts, anything they want to offer, any questions, feel free to contact me. And I am generally pretty good about checking emails every day, much better than I am at doing a lot of other things. So feel free to please write to me, and it would be really amazing if we can get something going where people are actually doing things. One thing that I found, well, two things I found with the AVN was that, number one, and I think this is a problem with the schools in Australia and around the world, in Western countries. Schools don't teach people to think. They don't teach people to get involved. When I was in high school, I was already going to protests when I was like 13 and 14 years old, because that's what we were taught in school. And now you don't do anything. I went to City Hall and testified in front of a committee in New York when I was 16 years old about the lack of funding in the city and how the schools were falling apart. So this was how we were taught, and it was a good thing. It was a really good thing. Nowadays, and I think it started in the 90s, people are simply not taught. Civics is not something that's taught. I've never heard the word civics in Australia, but it was a big issue in the United States when I was growing up. Basically, civics was teaching people responsibility for themselves, for their community, for their family. That you're not just yourself, and it sounds collective and it sounds communist, but it's not at all. It was teaching people that, and my mother taught me this too. She said, there's no point in complaining about something unless you're willing to do something about it. And I've always taken that to heart. And I can complain as good as the next person, I can tell you. Ask my husband. But I'm also always trying to think about, how can we make this better? How can we overcome this problem? And that's something that I think doesn't happen that commonly. And I remember really well-meaning people contacting me at the AVN all the time and saying, this is what you should do. You need to do this. And, I started in the beginning, yeah, you're right. That's a really good idea. And then eventually I thought, hang on a second, I'm working 60 or 70 hours a week with 4 young children, and I should do this? So I think that what we need to do is find a way to tell people. And I eventually started saying to people, that's a brilliant idea. You sit down, you write up a proposal, you get it to me in the next month, I'll take it to the committee, we'll vote on it, we'll fund it, and we'll get it happening. And they never got back to me. I don't think there was one time that someone actually got back to me, because people want someone else to fix things. And what I want to show and express and motivate people to do is to realize that they can fix things. And they can. Each one of us is more powerful than the entire government put together. We just don't know it. And our power comes from sharing what we know and getting other people involved in a community that works together. So civics, whatever you want to call it, knowing what your rights are, knowing that you can support your family and your community and the people that you know and love, and can oppose those who are trying to harm you, because they are trying to harm you. If you are walking down the street and someone approaches you with a baseball bat and they say, I'm going to hit you over the head with this, or you're just going to stand there and say, okay, go ahead, no problem. No, you're going to fight back or you're going to run away, but chances are you'll fight back because they'll just chase you. And the fact is that the government is basically holding a baseball bat to us. They're holding a gun to our heads in a lot of ways. So we need to be fighting back, and there's no two ways about it. And we don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of options as far as what we can do, because as I said, the courts, the media, the government, they're all against us. So we have to form our own communities and find out ways that we can get our human rights back again. So I'd love to hear any ideas from you. You've got my email address. Hopefully you all copied it. And I've just got another comment from Dave Smith. The Vaxxed bus is brilliant. A heavy load for those involved, but it gets seen. Talkback Radio has had 2 presenters stating they would not go near the COVID jab again, and others are getting their story across. This was on 2UE morning program with Grant Goldman filling in for Chris Smith, who's also very sympathetic. And there's another guy in Sydney, Ben Fordham, I think his name is. And he's brilliant. Like, he's awake. He's totally awake. So, there are more and more people. And that's the thing. You don't have to be brilliant to see that you've been lied to and to see these things. So if you know someone who is a radio presenter and has talkback and they present this issue, call in, just say, I'd like to give my opinion. And you don't have to be on for more than a minute, but if a lot of people do that, and we used to organize that with the AVN, this was when radio was a lot bigger than it probably is now, but we would put out a notification to our email list to say, XYZ is going to be talking on this channel, this station, on Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Please, here's the number, the talkback number, please call in. And people would, and it made a big difference. Except for John Laws, but nothing got through to him. So, I think that these are things we can do. We can all take these actions, and I think that we should. So, does anybody else have anything they would like to add at this point? Sandy, go ahead. Unmute. There you go.
Thank you. Look, I was just going to let you know now, I'm sure you know Deborah Lee, who did the witness statement. Do you know her personally?
I don't know her personally, no.
Because I'm good friends with her now assistant, Margaret Stafford, who used to work or support Billy Bay, but now she's supporting Deborah. I don't know if you're looking for people to interview, but I may be able to talk to Margaret to see if Deborah could. And
that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Question that you did about signing the pandemic treaty that Australia was proposed to do. Now, Deborah Yule heads up Australia Exit the WHO, and I listened to her last month at my place, and it seems like we haven't signed the pandemic treaty yet. It didn't go through. We've signed the IHR, which is the International Health Regulation, but not with the WHO, because there wasn't something properly filled in, and so if it's not all ready, it can't be signed. But Deborah would also be another very good person to have interviewed if you were interested.
I would love that. I would absolutely. I've communicated with her. I've never spoken with her. And the guy in the United States that she works with, Exit the WHO, I forget his name. I had him on the show a long time ago. So yeah, they do amazing work, those people. And I think that I'm confused about where we are with that. Like you said, I thought we'd actually signed it. So Penny Wong went out there and told everybody what a wonderful thing it was, and that's all I heard. So I'd love to get the truth about that. If you wouldn't mind, Sandy, getting them in touch with me, that would be great.
I'll do that. And I believe, because Deborah brought up about Penny Wong, they want us to have the belief that it's all done and dusted. So then we move on or just give up. But it's not. So yeah. Deborah's still fighting very hard.
That's brilliant.
So contact them.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd really appreciate it. And that tactic, that's something the government's been doing for years. I know that Centrelink from the late 90s was telling people that vaccination was compulsory for school entry, and it never was. It still isn't today. So, they lie through their teeth, absolutely lie through their teeth.
And I had a conversation with somebody only about a week ago that also said, we can't get our children into childcare without being fully vaccinated. So there is so much misinformation.
Now, childcare is a different story. It depends on what state. In Queensland, it's up to the childcare centre, but in New South Wales, Victoria, West Australia, I think South Australia too, you are not able to get your child into childcare unless they are completely up to date with all jabs or on a catch-up schedule.
See, we can here in Queensland, it's just you don't get the subsidy.
I think Queensland is the only state, and the subsidy is federal. The subsidy is no jab, no pay, but the state is no jab, no play. So I think every state except Queensland, and I'm not sure about the territories, to be honest with you. Canberra, I know you can't get into. I don't know the Northern Territory, though. I'm not really sure about that.
But one thing I am noticing on Facebook is that the measles, you know how they're pushing measles, and we've got all these measles cases. When you start to look at the comments, and there might be, 253 comments over and over, they are, oh, you got me once, you're not getting me again. Oh, no, this is another scam. The negative comments are very enlightening or positive for me, having,
Absolutely. And that's interesting too. The government is saying that, well, not just the government, media around the world is saying that since COVID, childhood vaccination has declined. Australia said that I think we're down to 86% compliance on vaccination. I think, again, they're lying through their teeth, because I would doubt very much that it's even, I think there's at least 30% of parents who are no longer vaccinating their children. But the government doesn't want to admit that, because then they'd have to admit that not everybody's dying left, right, and center because they're not getting jabbed. So, yeah, we can't believe anything they say. Yeah, Rock said our mate Penny gave the WHO $100 million in recent times, which is chicken feed compared to what various federal governments have given to the slush fund, the global fund. And that's the thing, $100 million. We're in a situation in Australia right now where we have large numbers of Australians who are homeless, who can't heat their house. I don't know if you saw what happened in Victoria. The government in Victoria came out and said, don't put your heat on. Just wrap up. Don't put your heat on, because, you're taking power away from everybody else. While there are people homeless, while there are people who have no food on the table, food banks around this country are having more and more people want help from them, which never happened before. We were the lucky country. Now we're the stupid country. At least our government is. So, yeah, I really think that there's so many issues, but we can do an awful lot to help out. And they all sort of go back to the same thing, and that's the government and the media. And we need to fight against them, and fight against them the media is already pretty well lost. The internet has killed the media. And the government, if we can get into positions, even in local government, in the Senate would be wonderful. House of Reps, I don't know if that's even possible, but it would be nice to try. So I think that there are so many ways that we can get involved as long as we don't feel defeated. Oh, it's the cat, sorry. We lost a chicken today. We've been having foxes around the house for weeks now, and I think they got one of our chickens. So I just heard that and I was thinking, is that the chicken coming back? But it's the cat. So, yeah. So I think that would be really important for us to work out ways of doing this. So if there is, let me just stop sharing so I can see everybody. There we go. If there is nothing else, then I might say goodnight to everyone. And it was lovely seeing you all and having you participate. And please do write and let me know what ideas you have, okay? And put down in your calendar the 9th of July interview with Adam Gibson. I'd love to see you then. And God willing, Substack will be working and I can have it on Substack too. All right, so good night all. Take care and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.